Let's play a game to see how good you are at predicting the market. So here I have two Facebook quarterly earnings results along with analyst predictions. So what you need to do is to predict whether the stock goes up or down after these earnings report. For the first quarterly earnings report, first of all, we have earnings per share. So they have a reported earnings per share of $3.67 versus prediction of $3.84. Revenue is $33.67 billion versus prediction of $33.4 billion. So revenue comes in a little bit higher than the analyst predictions. Daily active users is 1.93 billion versus 1.95 billion, so a little bit lower daily active user. Average revenue per user is at $11.57 versus the predicted $11.38. So this is the first quarterly earnings report. Next up, we have the second quarterly earnings report. So earnings per share is $2.72 reported versus $2.56 by the analyst. So earnings per share comes in a little bit higher. Revenue is at $27.91 billion versus the analyst's $28.2 billion. So revenue's a little bit lower. Daily active user is 1.96 billion versus the analyst's 1.95 billion. Average revenue per user is at $9.54 versus the analyst's $9.50. So revenue is slightly higher than the analyst's prediction. So after one of these earnings report, the Facebook or Meta share price dropped by 26%, and after the other, their share price went up by 17%. Can you tell which one is which? I'll give you a second to think about it, and you can pause the video to have a closer look. Okay, here's the answer. So the first is the earnings report from back in February, where the share price went down by around 26%. And the second is their latest earnings report in April, where the price went up by around 17%. Do you think one result is significantly better than the other? Now, personally, I don't really think so. Now, this leads to something that I want to emphasize again and again. Do not trust the analysts. They are not your friend. They're friends of hedge funds, politicians, and people that want to manipulate the market. Let's have a closer look at the results. So Facebook revenue rose by around 7% for this quarter, now which is significantly lower growth compared to the 20% revenue growth posted by Google. Yet Google stock dropped by 3.5% after they released their earnings, whereas Facebook stock increased by 17%. So as you can see, none of this really makes any sense at all. What does make sense is that Reality Lab, the part of Meta that's building products for the metaverse, is still losing money. So they have lost around $3 billion comparing to losing $1.8 billion from last year. So this whole metaverse thing is still not catching on and still not making them any money at all. Again, full disclosure, I still hold some Meta stock, even though they are down around 50% from their all-time high. So if we look at their charts, they had their all-time high around September of last year. And right now, they're about 45 to 50% down from their all-time high. Now, personally, I plan on holding Meta stock for the long term as well. Now, while many people are saying, oh, nobody really uses Facebook anymore, it's only for old people, they are significantly underestimating the number of people that use Facebook-owned WhatsApp in Europe, India, and other Southeast Asian countries. There's like 1 billion people in India, and majority of them do use WhatsApp, and even a small fraction of that represents a significant market size. Another common criticism is that people are saying that TikTok is going to make Facebook obsolete. And I disagree with that for the single reason that TikTok is a Chinese company. Now, if you are the US, are you honestly going to let a Chinese company take over all of their social media? See, I don't really see that, and I just don't see that happening. Now, they might be fine with it now, but just like how China would never let Google and Facebook completely take over their social media, I fail to see how US would let TikTok completely take over their social media in the US. Because at the end of the day, it's always about control. And there's no way the US government can control a foreign-owned company as much as they can control a US-based company. So for that reason, I believe that Facebook, Google, and all those other big tech companies will still be the dominant force going forward. Again, personally, I will be holding on to my Meta stock, and I do recognize that it might take a significant amount of time for them to recover. And it's highly likely that they're more transitioning into more of a value-based stock instead of a tech growth stock. But here's the thing, like I still see them growing in the future, but just at a significantly less pace compared to when they first started. One interesting would be to see what Elon Musk does with Twitter after his takeover bid. And would it be a platform that's truly for everyone to express their own opinions, or would it just be another platform with a different kind of censorship? And that's something we're just going to have to wait and find out. But again, as of the moment, I am long-term bullish on Meta and Facebook. And that's just my stance. This is not financial advice, and I will see you in the next video.